Good morning, everyone. It is 7:30 a.m. on January 11th, 2021. Happy Monday to everybody. This is episode number 1 of the Duron Morning Show. We're going to see if that name lasts and sticks with it throughout the whole thing, but for now, that's what we're keeping it at. For everyone watching live, I want to thank you guys for giving me your time and letting me entertain you a little bit this morning, giving you something to do. And for those that are going to be watching later on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, wherever you might find yourself visually, once again, I want to thank you guys for taking the time out to watch me and listen to what I have to say. So, like I said, this is episode number 1. I want this to be a long stretch, and I'm going to do my best to stay as consistent as possible. The show is going to run Monday through Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Mostly like business days, to be honest. Like if I have off from work on a Monday, or if most people have off from work on a Monday or a Thursday, for example, Thanksgiving, most likely won't be doing the show. But let's just jump right into it. I want you guys to know who I am and why you should even take the time out to want to listen to me for an hour every day. My name is Duron Coles. I'm 23 years old, born in Camden, New Jersey, raised in Sicklerville, New Jersey, a little town in southern New Jersey. I went to the New Jersey Institute of Technology in Newark, New Jersey. I just graduated in 2020 with 2 business degrees, one in finance, one in entrepreneurship. Before I switched my major in 2018, I was a computer engineering major. So I have a little bit of background in several different things: technology, business, entrepreneurship. I am a licensed real estate agent in the state of New Jersey. So I am also well versed in real estate and have a wide wealth of knowledge to talk about the big topics a lot of people want to talk about today, as far as generational wealth and financial freedom and how to make passive income. You hear those terms thrown around a lot, and I just want to talk about what exactly they mean, or how to go about achieving those things. I'm a big media head. When I say media, I mean music, movies, TV shows, anything of the sort. I love those kind of things. So I am going to touch on those, and as far as like big shows like Power, Game of Thrones, or things like that. I know Game of Thrones ended. You don't have to correct me there. But shows like that, if something big has happened, I definitely want to just touch on that during the week. Obviously, big things like the storming of the Capitol that happened, relevant news events. That's not going to be primarily what the show is about. But I would be remiss if I didn't take some time to like talk about those things happening in our daily lives. So why a morning show at all? Like I've been telling everyone, my friends, my family, and anyone that will listen to the sound of my voice, I'm only choosing a morning show because I want to show myself that I can be consistent. What exactly do I mean by that? Everyone out here wants to be successful at anything they do. To be successful, to be considered successful, you have to be consistent. That's the number one thing out there. A lot of people out there have considered me to be successful because of the things I've been able to accomplish, and I can't knock myself for the things I've accomplished. I'm a first generation graduate as far as college. I just bought my first house when I was 22 years old. It's a big accomplishment. It's my first investment property. So I can't knock my accomplishments that I've done, but in my own eyes, as of late, I do not see myself as being successful. Why is that? I lack the consistency needed to be successful. If you read every book out there, or if you listen to the Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs and the Warren Buffetts, they'll all tell you, the Oprah Winfreys, they'll all tell you you need to be consistent and build habits that you do every single day. I lack that completely. I was just telling somebody yesterday, I don't even, if I'm not going outside, I don't even brush my teeth that day. Like, as a joke, you know what I mean? there's not one thing I can name that I do every single day consistently without fail. So the part of me building what I want to be a successful career, whether it be in entrepreneurship or in real estate or in anything I pursue, you need to have habits that you do every single day without fail. So the start of that for me is going to be the morning show. I want to talk about what it means to be successful as far as what that definition means to you, but I want to jump into that later. For now, I want to talk about what a successful morning show means to me. Right now, there are 4 people watching live, which is great. This is my first show ever, and I'm proud of that. That means I marketed myself pretty well. If my live view count never surpasses that, I'll be happy. I'm not making a morning show because I expect people to wake up and listen to me every single morning, nor am I recording myself to post on YouTube and Instagram and Twitter to get 1 million views, 2 million, 10 million. That's not the point of this for me. A successful morning show for me is if I wake up every single day and do this Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 8:30. That's a big task to do every single day without fail. I know that there's going to be days when I wake up and I don't want to do it. I want to stay in bed. I don't feel like talking. I'm tired. I didn't sleep all night, things like that. But those are the days that I know I have to do it. Not only the days I want to do the show, but the days I don't want to do the show. Those are the days that determine someone that could be successful. The days you don't want to go to work, the days you don't want to have that extra meeting, the days that you just want to quit, those are the days you have to keep going. So that's what a successful show is going to mean to me. Not view count, not anybody that knows my name or knows or recognizes the show, which all that is good, all that is a byproduct of my work. But a successful show for me is going to mean just being consistent, because that's the goal of the show. So like I said before, I want to talk about success and what that even means to people. Obviously, everything is perception and perspective. The two P's, perception and perspective. Everything in life is those two things. What I deem as successful and what I'll use Oprah. I don't know what Oprah deems as successful, or what my mom deems as successful, what my neighbor deems as successful. All those things are going to be different. But in general, as a society right now, millennials, Gen Z, everyone combined right now, we have this perception of success as get rich, passive income. You don't have to go to work and do a 9 to 5 every single day, and that means you're successful. You can go on vacations whenever you want. You don't have to work. You can retire at 35, 40. All that sounds good to any person out there. If you are able to accomplish those things, people will be like, "Oh, they're successful." But I don't know if that's really true. Let me explain what I mean by that. I'll use different examples here. First, let's use someone like Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is now he's the second richest person. Shout out Elon Musk. But Jeff Bezos is one of the richest people in the world, number 2 now. And I don't think it's you can question out there that Amazon is a very successful company. But he himself has said out there he doesn't see himself as that accomplished or that successful. He has said that himself. Because if you look at his personal life, he just recently had a divorce. His children hated him for a little while because he cheated on their mother. So he didn't deem himself as successful. As a businessman, yeah, he was successful. But in his life, he didn't see it that way. Now, everybody from the outside looked at him like, what do you mean? You have $100 billion. You could literally buy countries. How do you not see yourself as successful? You're blinded, or you don't know what you're talking about. But that's because we're outsiders. It's always going to look like that from an outside perspective. I just talked to my friend Shamir yesterday, and we talked about the different qualities of what it means to be successful. And he said there's mainly 4. you can be successful as far as power, as being content in your life, being very wealthy, and I can't remember the fourth one right now. But I'll focus on three, and if the fourth one comes to me, we'll talk about that. And they're not. How do I want to word this? They're not. You don't need to have all three to be successful. You can have one and lack the other two. I don't know if I said power. Power might be the fourth one, but you don't need to have all three. You can have one and lack the two. You can have two and lack the three. You can have all three. So I'll go with respect. The biggest one for respect that you might think of that doesn't have the rest of the three qualities is a teacher. A teacher has all the respect in the world. Everyone respects teachers because they go with the grind. They do everything they can for the next generation of children out there, but they don't have that much wealth. They don't even make what they're due. I think we can all agree teachers are due way more money than they make, but average salary for a teacher is what, maybe $50,000. And they don't have a lot of power. They don't have a lot of wealth, but they are respected. So to some, they might not be seen as successful. There are tons of teachers that go through university and people look at them like, do you think this degree is going to pay your bills? And for them, it's not that. That's not what they care about. They really seek enjoyment just off teaching and just knowing that I'm the reason that this student or this person enjoyed writing, enjoyed reading, enjoyed math, that they look back on me and say, wow, that teacher changed my life. That's all they need. And I'll use Jeff Bezos, not to keep picking on him, but he doesn't have any respect, but he has all the power and all the wealth in the world. And the fourth one was content. That's what it was. It was, not to jump off topic, but it was power, wealth, respect, and being content. And I'll define all those in a little bit. But I'll define them now so that I can talk about them. Being content, obviously, is being content with your whole life, even if you don't have all four or all three, all two. Just being content with who you are and what you have. Power, obviously, speaks for itself. Having the power to call shots, make decisions. Having wealth, just being able to buy whatever you want, a yacht, helicopter, whatever. And respect. Respect speaks for itself. So, like I said, with thinking of respect, you can think of a teacher. Thinking of wealth and power, you can think of Jeff Bezos. He has, I don't know if a lot of people know this, he has it might be $600 million. I don't want to misspeak, but I think it's $60 million. He has a $60 million contract with the CIA to store all their information for them through Amazon Web Services. He's a private company that does that, and he's one man. He also solely owns the Wall Street Journal. So if he doesn't like something, he just tells them to write about it. He owns it by himself. Not Amazon owns it. Jeff Bezos owns the Wall Street Journal. So he has all the power in the world. We all know he has all the riches, but no one respects him. Everyone looks at Jeff Bezos like, why don't you pay your Amazon employees more? Why did you go and cheat on your wife? He doesn't have a lot of respect. His company is $1 trillion company, and there's workers that die in Amazon from being overworked. There are people that can't warm up their food during their breaks. I worked at Amazon. My facility wasn't that bad. It wasn't horrible, but it definitely overworks you. You can't lean on anything. You got to stand in one place for 10 to 12-hour shifts. For me, my building was actually one of the small. It was huge, but it was considered one of the smaller ones. So a good walk from the back of the building to the break rooms was like 5 minutes. But I was lucky. So Jeff Bezos obviously has 2 of the 4. I can't speak whether he's content with his life. I mean, he himself said that he's not. And then let's go to something like power. And this one, I think everyone will agree with and understand, Donald Trump. And Donald Trump has all the power in the world. He's considered the most powerful man in the world. He has the nuke codes. He has he's the president of the United States of America. That speaks for itself. But he is probably the most disrespected man in the world. Everyone hates that man, especially after what happened with the Capitol. He's not. He himself is wealthy, but he's not. He doesn't have a job where he makes billions of dollars, millions of dollars. He's the president of the United States. They make up to from $250,000 to $400,000 a year, and that's why they all. If you go look back on history, they all write books to get a #1 New York Times bestseller, and that's how they make their millions. Obama did it. George Bush, Clinton. They all do the same thing. They get into office and then write about being in office, and then they make $1 million off of their book. But he has one of the four as well. He's deemed successful. Yeah, it's absolutely impossible, almost impossible to become the president of the United States. There's 323 million Americans, and there's only one president. The numbers are obviously stacked against you. So he is successful in the fact that he got to the office, but he's not respected. He relatively, he's not wealthy, not Bezos or Musk or Gates wealthy. He has all the power, but is he content? He just got blocked off of every single platform that has a .com address. And content, you can't really give an example for content. I can give one for power and wealth, and respect. But being content is all up to you. I can't give an example of what it means. I can tell you how to chase it, though. My biggest example of being content would be J. Cole. J. Cole always preaches and talks about, obviously his song is, what is the name of that song? Dang, I just lost it. But anyway, he always preaches about just enjoying what you have now and not looking for what the future holds. Like, let that all come to you and not worry about it so much. If you worry about, if you're chasing, for example, if your measure of success is I want to make 500,000, then as soon as you get that, because we're humans and we have dopamine, you're going to chase 1 million. As soon as you get that 1 million, you're going to say, now I need 2. As soon as you get that 2, you're going to need 4. As soon as you get 4, you need 8. If being successful to you is having a lot of men or having a lot of women in your life, as soon as you get 4, you're going to need 8. As soon as you get 8, it's going to always double. That's who we are as people. If it's cars, if it's houses, if whatever it may be, award shows, like, oh, I need to get this one award. Now I'm gonna see if I can get 2. Now I'm gonna see if I can get 3. It's the rat race. You're always going to be needing to chase that next thing. But if you're chasing, for lack of a better term, I don't know if this is a word, but contention, being content, being happy where you are, then you can't beat that. You can't go wrong chasing that. If you, for example, do your 9 to 5 every day, but you get to spend, I'll give 2 examples. If someone was a stock trader, for example, if they're a stock trader, they have to work 13, 14 hours a day. They make $200,000 a year. They have a nice family that they don't get to spend time with, but that's their goal. But they can go on vacations whenever they want. They get to travel the world, actually. They can't go on vacations with their family, but they do a lot of traveling for their company. They go to China, they go to Germany, whatever. They travel by themselves, and they have to leave their family behind all the time. Once again, from an outsider, they might be successful. $250,000. They drive a $100,000 Tesla Model X. They have a $400,000 house or more. All their kids are doing good in school, things like that. Someone from an outside might go, I want to be like that person, but he himself might not be content if family is what he wants. He works 14 hours a day. He travels 6 out of 7 days of the week. His kids don't really know things that he likes. He can't do family dinner with them. He's always on Zoom calls with them. He might look at himself like, I don't know about, like, if I might be successful to some people, but I'm not content. Whereas if he switched his lifestyle and he reduced that $250,000 salary to 80, and he worked his 9 to 5, but got to see his kids 7 out of 7 days a week. He got to eat dinner with them 7 out of 7 days a week. then he might not be successful to some people. They might not deem him that way because, oh, he has a 9 to 5 job. He's working for the man, whatever people say. But he's content. He has the lifestyle that he wants. You know what I mean? So to transition from that, I want to talk about goal setting, real goal setting, and what it means to set a real goal. Because as we just talked about with all those examples, your goal might be, I want to make $100,000 a year. But what happens when you get that? What happens when you get that in? That's not enough, and now you need 150, and then now you need 250, and now you need 400,000. So real goal setting has a lot to do with knowing yourself first. A lot of people, I'll use another example of YouTube. YouTube and social media in general obviously are a this generation phenomenon. If you go back 10, 15, 20 years, the only type of celebrity you can get is if you are a music artist, or if you make movies, if you're an actor, an actress. That's the only type of real celebrity you can get. Now, with the advent of the internet and Instagram and Facebook, Twitter, people have the ability to make themselves an overnight celebrity immediately, just from a video, just from a picture, just from their looks. So with that phenomenon, they are able to obtain the material wealth that material riches, material wealth that a lot of people are chasing after. They get a Tesla, they get sponsorship from Nike, and they get free clothes, and they get all these things that people are like, oh, I wish I had that and didn't have to quote unquote work. And keep that in mind. People don't see that as work, but the people that are doing the work, that's exactly what they're doing. They're working. So I say all that to say, people set their goals mainly around these types of people, these YouTube celebrities, these social media influencers, even people that want to go to college, and they say, oh, I want to be a computer programmer because you could work at Google and make $100,000 a year. Those aren't real goals. If those aren't things that you're going to love to do. If you want to be a YouTuber, or someone says they want to be a YouTuber, are you ready to? Because you're not going to make money off YouTube at first. You're actually going to suck at first. That's just how the numbers go. Are you ready to suck and bear through that? Look at your metrics and change how you go about things. Still work your regular job to make some money to pay for your YouTube equipment. Are you ready to stay up late nights and edit videos? Email a whole bunch of companies to try to get influence from them, or sponsorship? Are you ready to go years without even having your first 10,000 view video, things like that? That it's a job, and people see the top, maybe let's call it 5%, like the Duron Kens, or the unboxed therapies, and the top of the top is what I'm trying to get. They see that and they go, oh, I can do that. I can just simply make a video and get rich. But it's not that simple. That's not a real goal. You can't say, oh, I want to do YouTube. You don't want to do YouTube. You want to have the things that these people have. Same thing with a celebrity. Just like I used in the beginning. People want to say, oh, I want to be an actor or an actress because they see how much money Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie have. You don't want to be an actor or an actress. You want to have the things they have. And that's okay. But you have to be honest with yourself first. And you can still achieve those things if you know yourself and are willing to put in the work with whatever you want to do. So what is real goal setting? Real goal setting is taking a look back and seeing if you're able to monetize. Or let me back up. Real goal setting is taking a look back and seeing exactly what you want to do and what it's going to take to accomplish that. So And that doesn't have to, and I subtracted that statement about monetization because it doesn't have to have anything to do with money. If you want to run 10 miles, for example, you have to take a step back, see exactly what you want to do, and see how you're going to get there. You're not just going to wake up and run 10 miles. You have to start with half a mile, then run 1 mile, and it takes time. You might have to run half a mile for just a week, so that your body, or 2 weeks, so that your body gets used to that, and then you scale up to 1 mile. And then you do that for 2 weeks. Then you scale up to 1.5. But you see how it's a slow grind to get there. You don't just wake up and run 10 miles. It's the same thing when it comes to trying to monetize your goals. So, for example, a lot of people I'll keep YouTube and social media out of it. People that see Google, Facebook, Twitter, they make all these companies pay their engineers or pay their programmers a lot of money. People from and I'll use myself, because I'm speaking mostly about myself when I talk about the engineering thing. That's why I switched my major. But from a general standpoint, people see these big cash flows, $100,000 a year, $150,000 a year, and they go, "Oh, I can do that," or "I want to do that." My biggest role model growing up, still is one of my biggest role models, was Bill Gates, or is Bill Gates, and I told myself I was going to do whatever it took to become a software engineer, because that was his first job. He was an intern while he was in college at Harvard before he dropped out. I was like, I'm going to be a software engineer so I can be as rich as Bill Gates, because that's all it takes. If you take the same steps as he does, you can do that. And I made that goal when I was 13 years old. I didn't know anything about engineering or software or anything like that, but I did my best to learn. I became a computer programmer. I learned like 6 languages before I was 18, and then I went to college and I was a computer engineer, and I hated all of it. I hated all of it. The theoretical side of things, none of it was applicable to real life, which is what I always liked. So I switched it. I had started a little business with my friends, and I realized that my passion was in business, so I changed my major. But you see how easily my goal failed. As soon as it got hard, it was very easy for me to quit, because it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I wasn't chasing the goal, or rather, I wasn't being true about what the real goal was. I just wanted what Bill Gates has. So it was very easy for me to go, I don't know if this is what I want to do, and I just quit. And I actually stayed in it way longer than I should have, because I hate quitting. So I should have quit back in 2016. I quit in 2018. It gave me an extra year and a half of college. So with real goal setting, specifically when it comes to monetization, you have to once again take a look back and see what it is you like to do, and see if you can monetize off that. Period. And that there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. If you like drawing, if that's your hobby, you can leave it as your hobby. You have every right. But if that's what you have a passion for, why not try to monetize that? If you truly hate, if you're in that same scenario, if you're that person that said, "Oh, I see people on Twitter, the Twitter employees, Jack Dorsey is letting them work from home for the rest of their term at Twitter, for the rest of their lives if they so choose. I want to do that," and they make $100,000. So people will actually go and obtain, like, they'll go get their 4-year degree, they'll work for Twitter, make their $100,000, work from home, and then still hate themselves. They'll be like, "Yo, I hate this job." Because that's not what they wanted. They chased the money, not what they actually like doing. They get off of work and they go draw for the rest of the night. They get their wine, they go draw, and they're like, I wish I was doing this. When they had every chance to do that, they didn't take the time to set a real goal. So you have to sit back and think about exactly what it is you want to do, and if there's a way to monetize that, just go and do that. So now the transition from there, what I want to talk about is sacrifice, because it kind of leads with what I was just saying. A lot of people aren't willing to sacrifice, one, what it takes to get what they want to accomplish, but more so, and this is the harder part, if you've already quote unquote accomplished what you've wanted to accomplish, taking a step back and sacrificing that. What I mean by that is I want to use a term that my friend Shamir once again gave me during a conversation yesterday. He said being brave enough to say no. And that really like struck home with me, because a lot of us aren't brave enough to say no. He gave me a story about himself. We just graduated together. He's an industrial engineer. And as he graduated, he was trying to make himself more marketable. So he was like, I'm going to learn how to program and how to do all of these different software so I can make myself more marketable. And he saw how hard it was to try to force himself to do that. And he tried like every day to set a schedule. Okay, 6 p.m. I'm going to try to program. I'm going to try to do my best to make this work. But he hated doing it. So he said he had to take a step back and realize he had to be brave enough to say no. This doesn't make me happy. This isn't what I want to do. He said he was doing it to make himself more marketable, to make more money. When in reality, he loves to. He's an artist. He's, like I said, I love all forms of media. He loves all forms of media. He makes music. He writes scripts. He produces shows. He's writing his own show that I'm starring in, by the way. more to come on that soon. But he realized if he took a step back and was brave enough to say no, this programming is not what I want to do, he can put more time into his passions of what he did want to do and try to monetize off that. There's no issue and there's no problem in having some form of I don't want to word this, like a job. There's no problem in having a job that monetizes what you want to do with your passion projects. What I mean by that is, I'll go back to the painter person that I was using. If that person, and this goes into sacrifice, I didn't forget about sacrifice. If someone wants to be that painter or be that artist that draws, but they are stuck in there working for Twitter, they could easily use that $100,000, $150,000 salary to fund their art passion. What I mean by that is, work your 9 to 5, and then you got to do your best to work from 5 to 9. You can't, if you're passionate about getting something, it's going to take a lot of sacrifice, and you can't work more for someone else more than you're willing to work for yourself. If you're willing to work 40 hours for Twitter, for someone else, for Jack Dorsey's product, you have to be willing to work 41 hours for yourself. You have to be, if you're serious about trying to monetize off your passion. So if that person wants to use their 9 to 5, their Twitter job, and pay for art supplies or pay for, I don't know exactly how art shows work, but if they have to buy a slot, if you have to buy like a slot for an hour or something, and it costs you thousands of dollars. I don't know how much it costs, but if a lot of people, what they do is they go and say, I don't want to do this Twitter job, and they go and quit, and then they're like, I'm going to jump all the way into drawing, and then they have no money to fund that, and then they're stuck, and they're like, oh, actually, instead of Twitter, I have a good resume, I'm going to try to find another job, and now they're still stuck in that race of, I don't want to do this, but I need this to fund me, and you know what I mean? So at first it's going to take a lot of sacrifice. And not only for that person that's trying to get out of their 9 to 5 slump, or get out of they're doing what they hate and they want to switch. It's going to take sacrifice to get what you want if you're starting from the beginning. It takes a lot of sacrifice. If you are that person that you're young, you're 19, 20, whatever, and you haven't graduated college yet, and you're like, I'm not doing the 9 to 5 job. I hate that. It's not it's not me. Okay, so what are you going to sacrifice to be able to do your passions? What are you going to sacrifice? Because unless you're going to scam and you're going to rob people and you're going to do things like that, you need to make money some way to be able to fund these. And unless you're, once again, part of the 0.01% that are just gifted, like Zuckerberg, for example, and you just say, look, I wrote this program, I'm thinking of naming it Facebook, do you think you can fund me? That doesn't happen often. It can happen, I'm not saying it can't, but it's not likely. The numbers are really against you to say, I'm going to draw this picture or make this show or do this thing, and someone's just going to fund me. And it takes time to get there. You need funding to even be able to start that. If you're thinking about you're creating a show, for example, and you're like, okay, I'm going to drop everything and I'm just going to make this. Okay, are you going to do everything yourself? Are you going to voice every character? Are you going to draw everything? Are you going to do everything yourself? Because if not, you have to involve other people. Do you think they're going to work for free? They might. But do you think that they're going to work for free all the time? Let's say this project takes 2 years, 3 years. They probably have a family to feed as well, if not themselves to feed. So everyone just needs to realize that it's not always going to be easy in life. It sounds easy when I say set a real goal and just do what you're passionate in and you'll make all the money in the world. This is not that easy. You might have to stay in that Twitter job or that I don't know. I'll use myself as an example. In 2018, me and my best friend, we had got our first apartment, and on paper, I thought I was making enough money from my first job to pay for it, but I wasn't. So I had to go and get a second job at ShopRite to pay for my rent every month, and I hated working there. But what was I going to do? Just live on the street or something? I had to sacrifice. It took a lot of heart and a lot of will for me to go to school 40 hours, not 40 hours, but 15 credits or whatever, however many credits I was taking. And then I worked my one job, let's just call it, I think 20 hours. And then I had to work ShopRite. I was working at ShopRite full time, so another 40 hours. So my average day, which people were always like, how are you doing this? I had to sacrifice a lot. My average day is I'd wake up at 6, go to work at ShopRite from 7 to 3 or maybe 8 to 4, and then I didn't have a car or anything, so I had to walk home. And then maybe get home at 4:30 or 5, change my clothes, and then I had to walk to school. And then I went to school from 6 to 9, and then I had to walk home and get home maybe at 9:30 or 10 o'clock. And then I had my other job to do, which was really an on-call job, so I only worked maybe once a week or twice a week. Or we called it duty, whenever I was on duty. So if I was on duty that week, I would maybe not get home till 12 because I have to do nighttime rounds. I have to make sure, I was a manager, so I had to make sure all my employees had what they needed. So my average day was 6 a.m. to maybe 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. and I did that every day, all of 2018. I did it every single day. And a lot of people were like, how can you go to school? And I got really good grades. I got a 3.8 GPA. I didn't slack on either job. I was doing really well, and a lot of people were very confused about that. Oh, you work so hard, but I mean, what other choice do I have? And I say all that about me to make the connection of what people need to do for themselves. It takes a lot of hours, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of hard work, because none of it is going to come easy. To use that same scenario to make up a scenario that with the Twitter person that works at Twitter from home, they might have a little more time because they work from home. So let's say they wake up early at 7, they might be able to get a drawing done from 7 to 9, work at Twitter from 9 to 5, and then draw for the rest of the night from, let's say they get their food and they shower, yada yada. So they start drawing at 6:30, and then you draw from 6:30 to 12:30. Someone might not be willing to do that, but you have to be willing to work harder than the next person if you're trying to chase hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's a reason that people don't make that much money. The average salary is about $38,000 in the U.S. And everyone and their mom wants to make $100,000 a year and go on vacation whenever they want and not work for the man and own their own business. There's a reason that the numbers are stacked against that, because it's not something that's easily obtainable, and that's okay. That's more than okay. But it just all comes down to sacrifice, honestly. So to wrap everything up, because I want to do a Q&A starting at about 8:15 and wrap it up at about 8:25. Today we talked about who I am and why exactly I'm doing this morning show. Why I'm even able to, what type of expertise and what knowledge I have about that. And I didn't even really jump into that too much. Like I said, I have 2 degrees, one in finance, one in entrepreneurship. That meaning I can easily talk about the banking system, or what an LLC is versus an S corp versus C corp versus a 1099 employee versus you know what I mean? Like I have a lot of expertise in the business world, whether it be with accounting and managing your finances to even starting the business, and how to get money from VCs, venture capitalists. I'm a licensed real estate agent, so I had to go through obviously many rigorous hours of tests and hours of studying to know all the things I know about that. We talked about being consistent. I'm doing this show to build consistency so that I can ultimately build success in my own life. And then we talked about goal setting, real goals, and what it means to make a real goal, not chasing that rat race of the next thing. I need 1 award, then 2. I need 1,000, then 2,000, then 1 million. I need 5 cars, then 10 cars. All that stuff comes when you take a seat, or when you take a look back. What's the saying that I'm trying to say? I don't know what I'm trying to say, but basically when you sit back and just let everything come to you, it's a lot easier than trying to chase those accolades, for lack of a better term. And then we talked about sacrifice and what it takes to ultimately get there. So I'm gonna go to the audience, and I'm gonna open up the floor for any questions. And if there aren't any, I'll talk about what I plan to do for tomorrow's show. And then I'll wrap it up, and we can all get going and start our days. For tomorrow's show, hey, shout out New Genre and Kadeem. Anybody that's watching this live, or even on my on Instagram or Twitter, whenever you choose to watch this, I need you to go to @NewGenreBrand on Instagram. That's @NewGenreBrand @NewGenreBrand, and I need you to go. He's my boy Kadeem Spencer. He's entering a competition to get his clothing brand out there. It's one of the best clothing brands I've seen out there. When I was talking to you guys earlier about how I started a business, I had started a clothing brand that it wasn't successful, but it didn't go the way that we had planned it, the people I started it with. And Kadeem had come to me and asked me if I had any advice for him and what went right, what went wrong, and to see the way that this man has blossomed is awesome. So I need you guys to go to @NewGenreBrand and go it should be his first picture. Go do whatever it is for the competition. I don't know exactly what you have to do. I know I went and liked a picture on this thing. Kadeem, you want to come talk about that real quick?
Yeah, man. My bad. I literally got up not too long ago. I crashed mad late last night, but
It's no problem.
So I came in here late, but yeah, bro. Thank you shout out. That's crazy. Yeah, for the competition, what you got to do is just go to my page. The picture is actually linked on the fashion design page. It's Fashion Designers Unite, all one word. You just got to go there and like my post. My design is on that page, and if you just like it, it counts as a vote for me in a competition. And if you could just send it out to just basically everybody you know, and just try and get the likes up on that. Basically, the winner of the competition gets a free sample production. So they'll take your design from just an inception and they'll make it into an actual garment. And it's just going to be big for me because I've never got it like professionally done. So, yeah.
Shout out Kadeem. Like I said, if y'all could do that for me, that would help out a lot. Like I said, if you guys have any questions for the show or what it means, like just raise your hands and I'll bring you guys up. If not, like I said, I started to say for tomorrow's show, what I plan on doing is, I actually don't even. This is what I'll talk about because I don't have anything scripted of what exactly I want to cover each day or some agenda that I have. Honestly, as it all comes to me, is what I plan to talk about. Like I could easily talk about. I started to talk about earlier the 2 P's, perception and perspective. I could go more on about that tomorrow. I could talk about the banking system and how it's not your fault, but the banking system is a scam and we need it anyway. For those of you that don't know, the banking system is only required to keep 10% of your money and they're allowed to invest 90% of the rest of it. In COVID, they're actually allowed to invest 100% of it. So if you go and deposit $100 today and then you went to take it out tomorrow, that might be your neighbor's $100. It's not yours. They went to invest your money. But that's its own topic. I could talk about real estate and what it means to become a realtor. And hey, Vanessa, invited as a speaker.
Hey, so I have a question. Obviously, you talk about how you wanted to do like computer, like programming and whatever that, and then you did like finance. But I know that you mentioned that you do real estate. So like that's such a change and flip flop. Like what made you go into real estate? Because you still had to do like the exams and stuff like that. So it's like weird to go from college to then I don't know. I'm just intrigued by that. I guess maybe I'm just curious. I don't know. I'm curious.
That's a good question. I like that. That's a really good question, and that's just who I am, and anyone that knows me will be able to tell you. Like I'm interested in so many things that I just not that I flip flop, but I jump around a lot. So for a little bit of background, I love technology. Like I build computers, so that's why I chose computer. Well, let me back up. I obviously told the Bill Gates story. I started to pursue computers because of Bill Gates. He had so much money and he was just the most known person in the world. I was like, I want to be that guy. So at like 13, I decided I'm going to be like Bill Gates. I started to build computers, take them apart, take phones apart, take PlayStations apart, anything I could to learn more about technology. So that's how I got into computer engineering. Then and I still love technology. I still like have my computer right now that I built. I still use it. And then my transition from computer engineering to business, I didn't know it, but my end goal was always to build a business. Like I semi knew that, but I didn't know how I was going to go about it. My end goal to become Bill Gates was to have enough knowledge to not only be able to build a computer from scratch. The scenario I always used with my mom or my sister, whoever, I told them if I was put in a room by myself with all the tools and all the tools I needed, I wanted to be able to build a computer from scratch, and then program it myself to work. And ultimately from there, I wanted to build a company that was able to do that, like Bill Gates. Bill Gates built Microsoft in the 70s and 80s and 90s when there wasn't a layout of how a computer should work. He just went and did it. So that was my end goal. So I always had a business mind or a business mentality, but I didn't even know that. So then in let's call it 2017, maybe 2016, one of my friends, he hit me up and said he had an idea for a clothing brand. Well, he called it a movement. He said, "I have for those of you who don't know, it was called Stay Foreign," and he had an idea for a movement. And I was like, "No, bro, that should be a brand." And basically, I did my best to build that brand from the ground up, but it ultimately didn't turn out the way I wanted it. But doing everything it took to build that brand, whether it was contacting. Whether I built a website from scratch because I had a computer programming background. I went and built the website from scratch, and I saw because I know we're running out of time here, so I'm not going to go too in depth. But basically, all the steps it took for me to build that brand and build that business, ultimately, I was like, this is what I want to do. So then I had stopped computer engineering and I changed my major to business like immediately, and then from there. I talked about my best friend and how we got our first apartment. When we were looking for jobs, because we basically planned, we said, all right, let's find the apartment and then let's find jobs. So our resumes are like really good. So we were like, we're not going to have a problem finding really good jobs to be able to pay for this. And he is one of the smartest people I know. So he found a job immediately. He was making $45,000 a year at 20 years old. Maybe he was 21. But where he found that job was at a real estate firm. It was he was doing their accounting. He was doing their accounts payable work and accounts receivables. So he always talked about his boss, who ended up being my boss. His name was Justin Kilisek, or is Justin Kilisek. And shout out Justin. He's basically taught me everything I know. Excuse me. So, to wrap it all up, I got into real estate because he would always talk about Justin, how eccentric he is. And he was like, yo, he reminds me of you. You guys have like the same personality. And I was like, oh, whatever. Like, he seems cool. And then when I was working at ShopRite and I was struggling, he saw me going day in, day out. I said my days were from like 7 a.m., maybe 6 a.m. to like 1 a.m. every single day. And I wasn't making that much money. I just was making ends meet to pay my rent every month. So he was talking to Justin. He was like, yo, I might be able to get my guy Duron in here if we have any openings. And they didn't have any, so I was like, whatever. But my friend said, hey, we should get our real estate licenses. Justin said even if you only get your real estate license to buy your own house, you can get whatever your house is, you can get 3.5% back on that. And not to jump too far ahead, but I ended up doing that. When I bought my house, they gave me maybe like $3,600 just to buy my house. So to ultimately answer your question, I got into real estate because my friend was like, yo, we should do this. And we just had time. We did it during winter break. We had time during the 2018 winter break. I had just changed my major to business. And my best friend was just giving me all the advice, like, yo, he gave me all the advice of if we get our real estate licenses, we can just buy our own house. We can buy investment properties and get money back that way. I never had an intention of being a realtor. I just did that. But then I met Justin. And he just was the embodiment of like, he's a millionaire and he's very eccentric. He drives a Porsche. Like he just was everything I wanted to be. So I was like, I got to work under this guy. And one of the best advice I ever got when I was a little younger, when I was like 17, from my computer programming professor, actually. He said, the best way to be successful is to just copy successful people. So I said, I'm just going to be Justin. I'm going to copy exactly what he does. Now, he knows this, so this isn't breaking news, but Justin is a dick. So I didn't want to be exactly like Justin, but his steps he can sell anything. I learned everything about selling things from him, and that's how I got into real estate. But good question, Vanessa. We have probably time for one more question if anybody has one. If not, I'll wrap it up here, and hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey, got one.
question. If you can go back and like go through the college experience and do some of the things that you did, would you change any of the way you like how you did things?
That's a great question. So, I hate answering questions with yes and no, but the answer, the true answer is yes and no. No, because as the cliche says, anything that you've been through has got you to where you are, and I actually truly believe that. But I want to say yes, I would change as well, because I would just do everything I did faster. And ultimately, I guess I really can't do it over if I wanted to, because man, everything I did built me. I went from when I was before I got that apartment that I said that I was telling you guys about. Or maybe that was during the apartment. I used to work for this restaurant. I was mopping floors. I was cleaning the bathrooms. I did anything I could to make money. I was using my bike to go and deliver food because I didn't have a car. I was a college student. I didn't have a car yet. I went and bought a bike from Walmart. The same best friend I was telling you guys about, he put it in his trunk or his back seat, and he helped me grind. Like, I've always been able to grind. I've had a job since I was 11 years old. I've never not worked. So like anything I've ever wanted, I've had to work for. But man, when being in college and the experiences I had to go through really turned me into a man, because I had to grind. And I had to fail a lot. I didn't realize that I had to fail. When I was growing up, I was kind of like the man, not as far as popularity and things like that, but everyone looked at me as like, yo, Ron is so smart. And no one ever questioned anything I ever did. So if I said, like, someone asked me, yo, how does this thing work? And I was like, well, it works like this. Sometimes I'd BS. And looking back, I can, like, admit that, but I would BS like, oh, if I had to think about it, it probably works like this, and that. And people would just believe me. They'd be like, all right, well, Duron is so smart. It probably works that way. But going into college, I got humbled very quickly. And there was there are tons of people smarter than me. So I would say things like, oh, it probably works like this. And someone would be like, nah, that's bullshit. Let me fact check that. And they'd fact check it and I'd be wrong. And my feelings would be hurt. And I'm like, nah, bro, why would you even do that? Why would you embarrass me? And it humbled me. So I had to grind. I had to grow up. And I had to stay in college an extra year not a year and a half. I had to stay an extra summer. But I failed I was like a genius. I was and still consider myself to be like a genius at math. I love math, but if you look back at my grades, it doesn't say that. I failed my first math class. I failed Calc 1 3 times. Or was it twice? No, I failed it twice and then passed it on the third time. So I had to get humbled very quickly. Like, you're not as smart as you think you are. And then when it came to grinding and pushing the limits, it came to the point of, are you as strong as you really think you are? Because there was times I wanted to quit over and over again, but I was like, if I quit, I got to live on the street. So to answer the question, there are some things I would definitely change that I wish I could have done faster, but ultimately I love every part of it, all part of the grind that I went through, because it got me to where I am today, talking to you guys on Clubhouse. If I changed anything, I don't know if I'd be able to be here. So great questions, everybody. I really appreciate everybody making my first morning show a success in my eyes. I got up and did it, to be honest. That was all I wanted to do. And I hope to see you all here tomorrow. I hope you guys can become regulars. And I appreciate everyone, whether you're here live or taking the time out to watch it later in the day. So thank you guys, and have a beautiful day.